Gillard has attacked the Chief Justice of the High Court following the decision that ended her Malaysia solution. The Prime Minister is accusing Justice French of inconsistency as her government tries desperately to fill the vacuum in its asylum-seeker policy. Political correspondent Tom Eagleton reports.
Another stumbling block for a government getting used to being on the defensive.
The High Court's decision basically turns on its head the understanding of the law in this country prior to yesterday's decision.
Her words had a familiar ring to them, echoing other politicians who've had High Court decisions go against their policies.
Again, the courts have reinterpreted and rewritten Australian law, ignoring the sovereignty of Parliament and the will of the Australian people.
Gillard's not blaming the Immigration Minister, who says he's determined to go on in the job.
The only thing that would happen if I resigned would be my quality of life might go up, but nothing else is going to be impacted by that.
The High Court says the Malaysia policy failed to provide human rights protections. The Prime Minister says the court's missing the point of her policy.
A missed opportunity to send a message to asylum seekers not to risk their lives at sea and get into boats. And we tragically saw at Christmas Island around Christmas time what that can lead to, with the loss of life of men and women and children.
She's accused Labor-appointed Chief Justice French of tinkering with the political process.
His Honour, Mr Justice French, considered comparable legal questions when he was a judge of the Federal Court and made different decisions to the one that the High Court made yesterday.
If the Prime Minister's looking for someone to blame over her failed Malaysian solution, she should be looking in the mirror, not at Justice French or not at anyone else.
The opposition's pushing for a return to its Pacific solution.
Nauru is the place that the government should now be looking at, because it worked in the past, it can work in the future.
But the government says that's far from clear following the court decision, and so do others.
Within this particular region, probably only New Zealand clearly would meet all of the criteria that the court has identified.
An emergency cabinet meeting was called in the wake of the High Court decision, and it heard verbal advice from the Solicitor General casting doubt on any plan to process asylum claims offshore. But the government's still keeping all of its options open, including the Nauru option, despite the objections of many on Labor's backbench.
Shame, Gillard, shame! Free the refugees!
Asylum-seeker supporters demonstrated tonight outside the Community Cabinet Forum in Brisbane, also urging the government to avoid a return to the Pacific solution. A former Member of Parliament was amongst them, remembering previous High Court decisions.
And let's not forget that the Howard government also lost a number of High Court decisions in regards to refugee issues. Their usual response was to just bag the High Court and then try and force the Parliament to change the law again to get around it. We'd very much want to see this government not go down that same path.
In Sydney, there were more protests. The so-called Convoy of No Confidence demonstrating outside Anthony Albanese's office after he dubbed them the Convoy of No Consequence.
No carbon tax!
He told them the carbon tax would be legislated, like it or not.
We have a constitution, we have a democratically elected government.
The government desperately hoping to catch a break.
Tom Eagleton reporting there.